How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. It actually looks like Jeremy Corbyn's government in waiting might have to wait a little longer after today's events.
Well, it's very disappointing that the Queen's speech, the government's very thin Queen's speech, hobbled through by only 14 votes. And of course 10 of those votes were votes gained by Theresa May with her dodgy deal with the DUP when she shook the magic money tree that she told us doesn't exist and gave 1.5 billion to the DUP in Northern Ireland. But it was a narrow victory for the government, and I believe that in future we can defeat this government, bring it down, call and cause a general election and win that general election.
You certainly need a united party to do that, don't you? And Labour certainly has, well, we've seen some cracks in the party over Brexit. Certainly, many have chosen not to follow the official party line. What, around 50 Labour MPs today? That's not looking good. It's looking like a divided party over Brexit.
Well, some Labour MPs voted for an amendment about the single market. They voted for an amendment that says that we should be part of the single market. Labour's policy is slightly different from that. We believe that we should be getting tariff-free access to the single market. So I think the big story tonight, though, is not that failed amendment. The big story is the fact that we came within just 14 votes of defeating this government, so it only needs 7 MPs to change their mind in future or to sit on their hands, and the whole picture changes. This isn't a strong government, it's a weak government, and I was proud, along with all my colleagues, to vote for Labour's amendment, which basically crystallised our manifesto for the many, not the few, into an amendment that would have added to the Queen's speech, and we only just lost.
But isn't the other big story really is that we are definitely now heading for a hard Brexit? No matter what Labour's view is, it's not realistic, is it? How is it possible to cut ties with Brussels, as the people voted to last year, but still hold on to those benefits of membership? I mean, after all, cherry-picking is not what the EU will allow, and quite frankly, Labour's policy concerning Brexit and aiming for that soft Brexit as such just isn't realistic and simply won't happen now.
Well, the EU is an issue. Brexit is an issue, but I have to say during the general election it was very rarely raised on the doorstep either by people who voted Remain or by people who voted Leave. Labour's vision of a post-Brexit Britain is a more equal Britain, a Britain where the economy is put first and where we don't allow Brexit to be used as a smokescreen to create a tax haven for the super-rich off the shores of Europe. The fundamental truth, though, is that whether Britain's in the European Union or out of the European Union, the fact remains that Britain is still a society divided between the super-rich at the top and the rest of us, and the Labour government will change that.
And also a society divided over this issue of Brexit. Isn't it now time, really, though, for all parties to gather together now and to really create a sense of unity for the country? Because, after all, that is exactly what is needed now. It's the biggest challenge facing the country.
Well, I don't believe that it's possible to work properly with a Conservative government that's so committed to cuts and has such a fundamentally different view of the way our society should be. Our approach to Brexit isn't managerialist. Our approach to Brexit is one based upon our principle that we need a post-Brexit Britain and a Britain in general that's run in the interests of the many, not the few. We need to transform our economy so that it's no longer run in the interests of the super-rich at the very top. And that, I'm afraid, is something that ideologically and in principle the Conservatives just can't agree to. So their vision of Britain, whether post-Brexit or pre-Brexit, is so different from ours that the idea of us working with them on this is completely impossible, I'm afraid. But if they're not capable of negotiating a Brexit that works in the interests of the majority in this country, then Labour is ready to step up to the responsibility and govern in the interests of the many, not the few.
Richard Burgon, thank you very much indeed. Thanks for your time. A busy day for you. Thanks indeed for joining us here on RT UK.